Hi, my name's Andrea Clements, Director at Global Affairs Canada's Trade Commissioner Service. I'm thrilled to be here today to introduce the Tech Founder Panel, which will be moderated by a great supporter of women in tech, Julia Elvidge. Four awesome women founders, Rachel Bartholomew, Julia McDonnell, Sem Ponnambalam, and Jana Rieger, will share their stories with you. I hope this helps you understand their entrepreneurial journeys, what has had the biggest impact on them, what else is needed, and the ecosystems that are here to support them. Canada's network of trade commissioners around the world help Canadian companies to scale up into internationally competitive firms. One of our flagship programs, the Canadian Technology Accelerator, CTA, helps high potential, high growth Canadian companies with existing technologies or products to explore business opportunities in soon to be 12 global tech hubs. The program has helped more than 730 Canadian companies to raise new capital, create more revenue and jobs since its launch in 2013. The CTA customized in-market and virtual programming include entrepreneurial mentorship from influential industry leaders, tailored workshops, and events. It also provides exclusive networking opportunities with in-market strategic partners, buyers, and investors. I'd like to invite all of you to reach out to a trade commissioner throughout our regional offices in Canada when you're looking at your next foreign market to do business. Please join me and welcome Julia and four great women founders for this Tech Founder panel session at AccelerateOTT.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this panel. Another panel of fantastic founders that are going to share their stories today, and it's wonderful to be coming in after Shahzad and listening to her journey. I certainly know that when we hear from the SheBoot founders later on, they're looking forward to IPOing and following in her footsteps going forward. But today, my name is Julia Elvidge. I'm a co-founder of SheBoot, and a high-tech advisor, investor, and member of a few boards. I'm really happy to be having this discussion today with Julie, Rachel, Jana, and Sem, and talking about their journeys, but with a particular focus on ecosystems and how ecosystems are supporting them in this journey. So we want to understand that we have the right mechanisms already, or how we can improve them going forward. But most importantly, I'd like each of them to start off and introduce themselves. Tell us about your company and your journey to date. We're going to talk about investment a little bit, so really talk about your product and your company to start with. And Rachel, can you kick it off for us?
Of course. Thank you for having me. So I am the CEO and co-founder of Hyivy Health. We've created a 3-in-1 pelvic rehab system for women to use from home. And essentially, we collect the first data set on the pelvic floor, which is collected, shared to the patient, and then shared to their active clinician, which is an OBGYN or a pelvic floor therapist. We are a medical device through and through. So we are going through regulatory approvals right now. Our device is in safety and benchtop testing to get ready for a number of clinical trials that we have set up across Canada. So we're looking at UBC, University of Calgary, McMaster, and Grand River Cancer Center to do testing with different types of women.
Fantastic. Julie, part of our first SheBoot cohort, tell us about your journey to date.
Yeah, I'm Julie McDonnell. I'm CEO of a company formerly called Heirlume. We just announced a rebrand and we're now Heirlume. We make owning a brand, so trademark search and registration, as quick, easy, and affordable as it is to register a domain. We serve small business owners in a D2C transactional model, and we also serve large enterprise. So big companies have a lot of need for trademark search in particular, and we serve them in a subscription model. And we were very fortunate to be part of SheBoot last year and to win the first prize. It was really pivotal for us as we grew and raised our next round, and really happy to be here.
And Julie, where are you talking from today?
Oh, Hamilton.
Hamilton. Okay. Yeah. And Rachel, I didn't ask, where are you talking from?
I am in Elora, Ontario. I'm at home, but we have offices in Hamilton and Waterloo.
Okay, wonderful. And Jana, I know you're in Calgary. I believe you're in Calgary. You usually are in Calgary. So tell us about your journey to date and a little bit more about TrueAngle.
Thanks, Julia. Hi, everyone. My name is Jana Rieger. I'm CEO of TrueAngle. We're a health tech company that has created a remote sensing technology and software solution for people who've been diagnosed with a condition called dysphagia, which is simply the medical term for a swallowing disorder. It can happen for lots of reasons: cancer, stroke, Parkinson's, other neurological conditions. And it can be life-threatening, but it also can just really completely destroy quality of life when you can't eat. My backstory is that I was a clinician scientist who was working with head and neck cancer patients. I knew there was this therapy that if I could get it to them, they could get better and get over this problem of dysphagia. But it required that they would come into a hospital daily for treatment over weeks. And so what ended up happening is that they really just never did it. And that really started the team on this journey of trying to figure out, how do we get this really important technology to them and at home? So that's what we've done. We launched in the US last year, and we're also completing research projects here in Canada and working towards approval here in Canada as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. And finally, but not least, Sem, and you're in Toronto today?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. And again, tell us about your company and your journey to date.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Sem Ponnambalam. I'm the co-founder of xahive. We're a cybersecurity company originally from Ottawa. But I'm in Toronto today for work. So xahive was created back in 2013. But for the first year and a half, we actually worked on our patent. So it's a secure communications tool. It's endpoint encrypted. The big differentiator between us and our competitors is that we never put the encryption keys on the server. So it's actually utilized in hospital systems, fintech, and in government and academia. Our service is compliant in Canada, US, and in Europe. And we eventually set up offices, not just in Ottawa, of course, but in New York, in Los Angeles, and we recently set up an office in London, UK. We also offer 2 additional services, which is online cybersecurity education for non-technical professionals, just because everyone's needing to know what cybersecurity is. And we partnered with Centennial College in Toronto to offer that, along with other colleges actually throughout Ontario. And our third service is an online audit service, looking at threat risk assessments, privacy impact assessments. And the most exciting part is that we've partnered with BlackBerry, Red Hat, and IBM globally. And our biggest accomplishment so far is that we are going to be embedding our secure communications tool into IBM's Cloud Pak, which is a huge achievement for us. Thank you.
Fantastic news, Sem.
Thank you.
And I want to get into now the various ecosystems and accelerators that have supported you on your journey? And I, there is quite a diversity of programs that you've all been involved in, from Fierce Founders to Creative Destruction Labs, Rise Ventures, Matter Health, CDL, Creative Consumption Lab in Calgary, the Google Accelerator, SheBoot. I think I got most of them, and of course, Invest Ottawa, accelerators and flex programs. Can you tell me, which of these accelerators had the biggest impact for you at different times of your development, and why? What did they do, and what part of them were so significant for you getting started or growing? Rachel, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I've been a part of way too many accelerators and incubators. I think all across Canada, all across US, and into Europe. Some of my favorites have been CDL. I mean, CDL was essential for me. They're very hard on you, but for very good reasons. They kick your butt a little bit in terms of getting it together and really executing on milestones. And a lot of my investors in my first round came out of that program. I participated in an accelerator as a part of a strategic partner who came in on our investment round. And now we're looking at, European distribution with them. So that was the Zambon Open Zone Accelerator. And I've also participated in the CTA, which was announced just before this. And I did their digital health program, which bridged us from New York to San Francisco, I believe it was. And it was great. They just gave us a crash course in the healthcare system in the US, which was the knowledge I needed to really understand the industry.
That's great. That's great. And Jana.
Yeah, thanks, Julia. Like Rachel, we also were part of the Creative Destruction Lab. And I think one thing to start with is to say that there are lots of accelerators that are available to companies. And I think that for us, it was really important to be strategic about the ones that we chose at different times. So Creative Destruction Lab was incredibly important because at that time, myself and my two co-founders were just starting. So they had the business mentorship that we really needed at that time, and the connection to an angel investment community that we were also going to need in the very near term after going through that program. And then as we went down the road, we also were part of one of the CTAs, Matter Health in Chicago. And we strategically picked that one because we knew that we were launching into the US market. And we really felt like it was important to get mentorship from the community of mentors that are in the ecosystem into which we were putting our product. So that was very important for us. And then the last accelerator that we were part of was the University of Alberta Health Accelerator. And that one was important for us because there were other benefits related to it. For example, having space for our whole team to come together and be in an ecosystem with other companies. So that's how we went through. And I'd say that at each point in time, the different accelerators offered something for our team that we needed at that point.
Fantastic. And CTA was also important to you, Sem, at later on, I hear.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm also part of IO Accelerator Ottawa as well, so can't forget that. And they've been fantastic, and I'm continuing to work with them. So yay, Invest Ottawa. So for those of you who are in Ottawa, definitely check it out. Yeah, the CTA has been great. We initially started off in New York, and like Jana had mentioned, they helped really focus on how, and also Rachel, how to sell into the US market. And then we also recently participated, again, it was through an introduction through Invest Ottawa for the defense CTA as well. So which was amazing, where they collaborated. It was Washington, San Diego and Boston. So it was really fantastic to learn about the different ways, because just because you're selling to the US, it doesn't mean it's the same market. You need to target, even for one sector, it is so different. Even in California, trying to do a pitch in Northern California versus even within Southern California, like Los Angeles was different from San Diego to Orange County. So you really have to tailor that. So it's amazing to get that benefit.
That's really interesting. I can see why that was so valuable at that stage of your growth. And, now, Julie, I know last year you were doing SheBoot and Google Accelerator at the same time, which was crazy, but you pulled it off along with your amazing co-founder, Sarah Rust. Tell us about your experience from an accelerator standpoint and the impact it had on you. Julie, I can't hear you right now. Are you muted?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
I think I unmuted and then muted and forgot.
The first time we said, I think you're muted today. And it just makes it all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really, really agree with Jana's comment about, finding the accelerator that fits your stage. And I think we've been very, very lucky about flowing through accelerators at the exact right stage. So we were initially involved with the Accelerator Center when all we had was an idea. And that was wonderful because we were part of a program that came with $30,000 in funding through FedDev. And that really allowed us to actually, explore the idea from a technology standpoint. So that was really critical. And we flowed from there right into CTA Silicon Valley, which was absolutely incredible. So I think everybody on this panel seems to have had an incredible experience with the CTA accelerators. Ours was particularly good for the stage that we were at. We needed to raise money, and it was really intensive, wonderful coaching around that specifically, and also some connections through to investors, which was great. From there, we flowed into both Google and SheBoot, which both were pivotal for different reasons. Google was just a phenomenal community that remains with us. We have access to really anybody at Google that we want to connect through to. And it's just a fabulous, totally available resource for us. And has been really helpful with developing product and technology and business development and all sorts of other things. And several of our mentors still work with us and consult with us. So that's been wonderful. And SheBoot, just the timing was fantastic in terms of, winning that first prize. It allowed us a bit more time on our fundraise, and we were able to secure some really key investors that way for our seed round. So, and have kept, consultants like Aaron Zipes, who's been absolutely incredible for us. So just been extraordinarily lucky with the timing and the type of advice that we've gotten.
It does seem to be a theme that timing is everything. And in terms of being in the right place at the right time for different accelerators, what would you recommend in terms of improvements to these accelerators, in terms of accessibility of these accelerators, and also, whether there should be more women-only focused accelerators? Who wants to start? Just raise a hand if you're interested in opening up on that one. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, I think these are great. Definitely need to have more women-focused accelerators for sure, because if we look at stats, of course, I'm quoting US stats, so I'm not familiar with the Canadian numbers, but I think last year it was about 2.3% of VC funding went to women. And out of that, it was less than 1% went to racialized women. So that's a big problem. So, and that's just the US alone. So I'm not sure what the Canadian stats are. So we definitely need to ensure that it's not just these accelerators that are helping women get to the stage, but especially those who are also racialized as well. And to ensure that it's never going to be a level playing field, but at least get an opportunity to be at that stage. And just because you have also racialized folks on as VCs, it doesn't mean that they're going to actually invest in you. So there's also a lot of unconscious bias as well, because oftentimes VCs invest in people that they think will be successful. So it's really important to ensure that programs are tailored, there's strong mentorship in place as well. And, for those of us who are on this panel, I know we're all really busy, but it's really important to be able to give back and help the next person, go up the ladder as well, because we all have gone through these struggles and we want to make it simpler and easier for the next cohort that comes behind us.
I totally agree. And I know, when I was working full time as a president and co-founder of ChipWorks, it was hard to find the time. It was really hard to find the time to give back, which is why I'm putting so much more time into it now and supporting women. But, I wish at that time I had spent a few more hours of the week making sure that I was supporting the next generation of women founders. Who else wants to jump in and talk about improvements we could see? Rachel, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, echoing everything that Sem said, I think the value of women-based programs is that it almost seems like there's never competition, but only collaboration. And that's the beauty of women entrepreneurs, is we want to help each other out. And I think if all of us step up and help out that next generation that's coming up, maybe one step behind us. I know when I went through fundraising, it was one of my first times, and LSpark really helped me with that out of Ottawa, counsel me on the terminology. Like, it's a completely different type of business, right? And with its own terminology and its own, things that happen. I made sure to pull up my socks and help a couple other women behind me who are going through that process to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes, and I can, counsel them through. So that's the value of these programs, is we help each other out, and it's not competitive. It's let's all succeed and let's all help each other succeed. And the more we can help that, the more we can, break these terrible percentages we have that unfortunately don't work in our favor when it comes to funding and that type of thing.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Jana, Julie, would you like to add anything more?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that's said. And, same thing in academia. We know that you can take on the binary, the male and females that are there, and they're equally successful. And yet we only have 8% of spin-offs coming out of academia being run by women. So there's definitely an issue. I think it comes down to timing. Some of the studies that have been done to understand what can help women in academia, for example, it's about showing them the landscape of what exists, helping them to figure out how they network, and then helping them to find funding. I think the one, and maybe initially that needs to be done in an ecosystem where they feel comfortable, and maybe that is in women accelerators. But I would want to add a caveat to this conversation that we have to also help transition women into the world where, we have everybody in the world out there. We're going to be going up in front of men, asking for money. So we have to understand how to function in those worlds and not be afraid of that and getting out into that. So I think there's a pathway that we have to think about of nurturing and then kind of scaling the female entrepreneur.
That's a great thought. And I'll come back to it because I'd like to hear Julie speak. But one of the things I'd like to ask the audience, we're running low on time. If you have questions, please throw them into the Q&A on Hopin. I can't really go back and forth between chat and Q&A. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A of Hopin. That would be great. Julie, do you want to add anything to, again, the question being, how can we improve the systems we have in place right now from an ecosystem accelerator? How can we make it better going forward? Do you have any suggestions?
My internet connection seems to be unstable, so just stop me if it's cutting out. But my number one always is there's such a funding disparity that the most helpful thing often is money coming with participation in these accelerators. So FedDev has done a great job of backing them. I think the money could flow directly to the participants and possibly less to generally developing programming or to general mentorship. There's sort of a hashtag that goes around that I'm sure everybody on this panel has heard, which is, more money, less mentorship. And so I think in general, I kind of think both are really, really important, but without the money, way too many women-led companies just sort of can't survive. And I think we need to acknowledge that. And I think that some of these financial supports can be refocused. Some of this government programming can be refocused to sort of fund more directly, I think, especially in early stages. Yeah.
Okay. And Rachel, sure, go right into it. Yeah.
One additional thing to add to that is if there's anybody in the audience who's running these types of accelerators or thinking about it, stop focusing on the basics of business for women programs. I think we've got it. We're on the go. We need the nitty-gritty, dirty details of how to run a business. And we need to know what we need to do to just take that next step forward in growth. I think starting from the business model canvas right at the very beginning is just, it discredits the work that we've put in and how much we've done. Let us get on the ground and get going, and not focus just on the basics and the fluffy stuff.
Okay. Thank you. And, one of the things that we've seen with SheBoot is getting more women investing. And last year we had 10 women investing. This year we have 20. What do you think? Is there a need to get more women involved in and investing and faces that you see when you're pitching? Anybody? Hands up. Sam? You gonna jump in? Okay,
yeah,
Sam?
I think it's not just women getting involved, but also the rest of the population. We can't forget the other 50%. And we need to ensure the men are also aware of any sort of unconscious bias, that they have to go through some form of training, right? Because that's really important. And definitely having more women, but also ensuring that those women that are investing don't just give the money and step away, but we're there to really help grow those companies and scale, because that's what's going to make a difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Rachel, you jumped in there too?
It was so tough for me when it came to fundraising, because I talk about female private areas. That's what my business is about. And I will tell you, it's really hard to relate to male investors when you're talking about something they just don't have. So the more representation we can have on that fundraising side when it comes to, companies like myself or companies that may not relate, to the male population, it makes it a lot easier for me. And I was lucky that I had majority of females on my investment for my pre-seed.
Yes, yeah, that's true. But I certainly think that I like to see more women's faces in the rooms when women are pitching. And I think just the face makes a difference. And we're seeing more. So I'm going to go to some of the questions that are coming up. And this brings us into where we were going to. We were going to talk a little bit more about your investment and how things went for you from an investment standpoint. So we know that access to funds is an issue for underestimated founders. What are your keys to success in accessing unexpected investment? Any out-of-the-box ways that you landed investment? This is from Suzanne Grant. Anybody want to take that one first? show me a hand. There we go. Rachel?
I'm happy to jump in. Go coast to coast. Coasts are very different in their approach. So East Coast is a lot more conservative, especially on valuation versus the West Coast. You need to talk to at least 100 before you get your first yes. And so get as many meetings as you possibly can. Learn the fundamentals, learn the terminology, be bold in your ask, know what you want and go out for it. I failed at going out and asking for what I wanted and ended up raising it anyways, even though I went out raising for a lot less after I got knocked down a couple of times by angel investors. And so just be bold in what you want and do your homework and put together a great due diligence package and, talk to others who've done it before.
Fantastic. Julie, do you want to jump in next?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts. One is nail your story. I think we're still figuring out story. I think we'll be figuring out our story for a long time. It's incredibly, I'll step back a bit. I think it's really important to really put yourself in the shoes of an investor and think that, you're asking them for a really enormous sum of money. And that has to be a really compelling story that you're telling for the person to actually hand over that money. And so I think spending a lot of time explaining what you do really, really well and the impact that it will have so that you really compel that investor. We've worked on it for hours and hours and hours and had mentors and coaches, and we're still working on it. So that's first. And I think in early stages, really researching and spending as much time focused on strategic angels as you are focused on sort of VC funds is really helpful. Angels that really align with your mission and vision can be the most helpful investors. They're the ones who often are operators themselves. They've been there. They're the best support system. They reach out when you're in a hard spot, and they, kind of reach out with emotional support, but they reach out with connections, and they really dig in and they want to see you succeed. So I think in the early stages of a company, my advice is always really look for those strategic angels because they make a big, big difference.
Fantastic. Thank you. Jana.
Yeah, I would say I was just thinking back to one of my first pitches where the person I was pitching to was nearly falling asleep. And I think, the one piece of advice around that is figure out how to tell your story, especially about your technology, very crisply and quickly, and get into your business story. And I think one of the things that really helped me get to that point was competing in pitch competitions where you had a time limited factor, 5 minutes. You have to tell your story and convince somebody that you're worthy of investment in 5 minutes. So that would be something that I would say, especially folks who really love their science and technology, you have to figure out how to do that.
That's fair. And I was going to ask Julie, I forgot, but when we say practice your pitch, that's like hundreds of hours, right? Not tens of hours. It's everybody. Yeah. It's hundreds of hours of practicing to get that right. And excellent. Sem, did you want to add anything?
I think the other thing is just having a unique selling point, because as much as we all think we have the only company out there and we were the one who's created something unique, but there's so many other companies popping up every day. So you need to really have a unique selling point and express your differentiator right up front, along with everything else that everyone else has said. And that's what's going to really capture an investor's attention.
Perfect. And now just switching again, a question came up about having a strong network. Tell us about your networks, how you develop them, what they do for you. In particular, from a startup community standpoint, I'm focusing on right now rather than the mentor network, but do you have this group of companies that support each other? And how do they support each other? And tell us more about that. Anybody? Sem?
Yeah, I'm part of Invest Ottawa, so I mean, I have to definitely say they've been fantastic in terms of supporting me on so many ways, not just on the funding side, but introducing me to potential clients, even in terms of making sure your legal, financial, contacts are up to date. That's so important from a startup perspective. Getting the right banks. Okay, and especially because once you start scaling, everyone, you need to make sure it's a bank that can support you, not just domestically, but internationally, because I believe each and every one of you is going to succeed and you're going to scale internationally. So make sure you get all of those support set up as well. And I just can, rave about how amazing Invest Ottawa has been. They've connected me with so many different trade commissioners as well. So, and really talking to people and just saying, hey, I'm at this stage, I need help. Don't be shy, because if you don't advocate for yourself, no one else will. So it's your business. You want to make money, so go out there and advocate.
Great. Jana, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think, when I realized that I was going to have to make this jump out of academia into the commercialization world, it felt vacuous. Like I didn't know what was out there. I'd been immersed in my environment for so long, but I knew there had to be something. And so even before getting involved in accelerators, I would say, look into your ecosystem, because chances are there's a ton of stuff out there that you just don't know about. And start networking that way and find out from that ecosystem about some of the great accelerators that might exist for your technology. I think a lot of post-secondary institutions as well are getting better at bringing in some early support for their innovation, the people who are innovating in their ecosystem too. So if you happen to be in that ecosystem, look for it. But it really is about just getting out there and finding what exists, going to events as much as you can, getting to know people in the system as much as you can.
Okay. And we're coming to a close. So I really want to make sure that we talk about really what you would tell yourself if you were starting off again right now, and going back into history and you were started. What would you tell yourself that you know now? What are your lessons learned that you would like to share with the greater community right now? Rachel, do you want to start?
Sure. So this is actually my second company. So I kind of messed up the first time around for 5 years. So this is what I'm doing this time around, is not messing up. I think the biggest thing is getting out of the building ASAP and talking to people. And this goes to building your network. Do not be afraid to share your ideas and get feedback, because you never know what can come out of it. Be a part of these communities, connect with others that are doing it, because just as much as mentors are valuable, my most valuable mentors come out of other companies and other CEOs that are running companies. The list, it goes on and on. Get great lawyers is another one. And yeah, be bold in your ask and go out for what you want. Create your story. And yeah, my rag list is very, very long in terms of failures and successes. But
get out and talk to people, get great lawyers, and be bold is my summary. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Who would like to go next?
I can hop in. I would say on top of all those great things that Rachel said, it's just don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. And you will have people who you come across. Rachel mentioned, CDL. It's kind of like you're at risk of getting kicked off the island there. And you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear, that hurt, that whatever. So it's just grow a thick skin. Don't take it personally. And if you truly believe in what you're doing, just go out there and get it.
Fantastic. Julie?
Yeah, I can think of two things. One is echoing Jana again a little bit, but making sure that that you're checking your own confidence sometimes. So it's a tough environment. Often, I'm lucky that I'm a lawyer, and I kind of been in tough environments and tough negotiations and things like that. But it's still a particularly tough road and tough environment that is dominated by people who naturally people who have a lot of confidence. And so those people can kind of cause you to second guess your decisions or things like that. And looking back, there were times when I felt like, why did I sort of waver in that moment? So that's one. And two is to ask for help a lot and to give help a lot. And those are kind of the two things. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely great. And Sem, what would you say?
I echo what everyone else has said, but I would also suggest definitely getting help early on. I mean, right from the beginning, I wish I would have gotten more help, and surrounding yourself with people who've gone through this and why they failed, and also be open to feedback, because that, as everyone else has said, that is how you're going to improve and get better next time. And just continue to keep fighting the big fight, because you are going to succeed no matter how many times you get kicked down. So I listened to the song We're Champions, so go out there, listen to it, ladies, and go for it. So yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Our time is up, but I totally enjoyed the conversation with you today. And go and follow Shahzad in that next level. And I'd love to see you all on the TSX someday. But totally enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much. Big clap from the crowd here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. That was great. That was an awesome panel. I have a few gems here that I took. So one of them is it's important to find the accelerator that fits your stage. So timing is everything. It's not just about creating accelerators. This one I really like. It's not just about creating accelerators for women, but also for those women that are racialized. This one really hit home for me. The beauty of women-based accelerators is that there is more cooperation than competition amongst cohorts. This one is really, really inspiring, and is the more women can mentor others, the faster the funding percentages will change. So ask for a lot of help, but also give a lot of help. And last but not least, start talking to people ASAP, even before you need to. Be bold, don't take it personal, and get great lawyers. So, so awesome. So thank you so much. This was a great session. So now I am going to introduce Dr. Catherine Elliott. She is the Assistant Director and Professor of the MBA program with the Telford School of Business, the University of Ottawa, and a valued growth sponsor who will extend thanks to the Tech Founders panel.
Thank you. What a great Tech Founder panel. Thank you, Julia, for moderating, and thank you for this phenomenal group of women entrepreneurs. Jana, Sam, Julie, and Rachel for your honest words and insights. I am Dr. Catherine Elliott, and I'm an assistant professor and director of the MBA program at the Telford School of Management. My research focuses on women's entrepreneurship, mentoring, and diversity. Gatherings like these and discussions like these are crucial to lift up women entrepreneurs. Telford is happy to be a continuing sponsor and supporter of AccelerateOTT, because Telford is all about education and training and the entrepreneurial spirit in general. At Telfer, everything we do, from teaching to research, is aligned with helping Canada and all Canadians to reach its potential. We believe that better business practice means a better Canada. My colleague, Dr. Barbara Orser, and I recently co-authored the Global Gender Smart Entrepreneurship Education and Training Plus report. We call it GEET Plus for short. GEET Plus provides a toolkit of resources to enable entrepreneurship educators, small business trainers, and policymakers to have more inclusive content and delivery. And Invest Ottawa was crucial in both its pilot testing and its design. The goal of the GEET Plus is to reduce the incidence of gender, racial, and occupational stereotypes and unconscious biases associated with entrepreneurship. Led by Dr. Orser and myself, we are now moving this to a broader context in the international domain with a research project with partners at Babson College in the United States, as well as Johns Hopkins University. So stay tuned for more information on that. Tools like the GEET Plus, as well as events like this, AccelerateOTT, help us to be better and to do better. We're looking forward to doing more of that with you. Thank you.
Okay, so just before we head off to lunch, and I know everyone is excited to start diving in, we're going to do take 2 with the video that failed during my panel because of my technology karma here at our first hybrid event. We are thrilled to bring you an interview with Jennifer Francis, Chair of the Capital Angel Network, Director of the Board, Invest Ottawa, Bayview, and SheBoot co-founder, with Claudia Rojas, who is the CEO of NACO, the National Angel Capital Organization, on the state of angel investment in this country. Could not be more timely on the heels of that tech founder panel. Thank you for rolling the video to our team.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Francis. I'm the chair of Capital Angel Network, and I'm here today with Claudia Rojas, who is the CEO of NACO Canada. And we're going to be talking to you about angel investing and the state of angel investing in Canada. So, Claudia, you've just released the 2021 report on angel investing activity. Can you share with us a couple of the highlights from that report?
Happy to, Jennifer, and great to be here having this discussion with you, and great to be a part of the Invest Ottawa AccelerateOTT event. What stood out, 2 key things stood out in terms of our 2021 angel activity report. So this is based on data from 2020 reported by our groups across the national landscape. And so 102.9 million was invested in 2020. This brings the 11-year total of angel activity that we've tracked to a cumulative 1.12 billion in Canada. So it's a really impressive aggregate number, but it's nowhere near where we could be and where we need to be as we think about the future. What stood out as something that could have been a number that could have been much better is that we saw a 37% decrease during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this, if you compare this to what we saw with the venture capital community, where we saw record quarters, I think what it speaks to is the need for a national policy response in order to support increased angel investment, increased investment into entrepreneurial companies at the early stage, so that we can better feed the scale-up pipeline that runs into the venture capital community.
Yeah, which is critical to get companies past that early stage so that they're VC ready. In your report, one of the things that you did mention as a positive shift over the last year was the increase in diversity, and particularly in female angels within the angel ecosystem. What do you attribute that to?
Right. So it was a record year for angel investment activity led by women. And so women comprised 24% of the members of the angel organizations in 2020. This was a 40% increase on 2019 data. And in both 2019 and 2018, we saw 17% representation. So from 17% to 24%, which is a 40% increase. And even bigger, this is a 70% increase on the 2017 numbers. I would attribute this to the amazing work of organizations like Invest Ottawa and Capital Angel Network, with your initiative, Jennifer, that you've led, and Sonia Shori, I believe, has participated in, with SheBoot, the 51 based out of Calgary, a women-led angel network focused on investing in women-led companies, Women's Equity Lab led by Stephanie Andrew in Victoria, BC. It's organizations like this that what they do is they increase access to capital for women entrepreneurs, and the same can be done and needs to be done for other for entrepreneurs from other communities that are underrepresented. And as you know, Jennifer, if you see it, you can be it. I think that's a big part of it. And so by having more women angels, I think it provides a very useful reference point for women entrepreneurs, and they know that they can become the angels of the future.
So as you look at this as improving conditions for different entrepreneurs accessing funding, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs that are listening now and are thinking about raising from angels?
Build a relationship with, whether it's angels or venture capital, build the relationship early. And then, of course, with the right angels, individuals like SomSafe, groups like Capital Angel Network, that will facilitate the not just the capital that you need in order to get to the next level, but also the mentorship and the network, the relationships to build your company.
Well, that's great advice, Claudio. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, definitely go out and build some relationships with angels, and that will give you the funding that will get you to the next stage where you can get the large VC rounds. So thank you very much for your time, Claudio. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thanks so much to Invest Ottawa for hosting this great event.
We got to see this video because it was a great interview. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so now it's been a packed day, and I'm sure everybody is ready to stretch your legs. So please do so. We want to make sure that we continue to fuel your entrepreneurial fire this afternoon. I believe there is some food available on this side. Yes, there's some food available this time. So please enjoy it, mingle, network, and we will see you back online at 12:55. Hold on, while you're enjoying your lunch, please take a moment to explore how Ottawa tourism is helping us shape Ottawa's global reputation for innovation and excellence. Again, we were talking about doing some giveaways during each session from Ottawa Tourism. So please check out how they are helping us through this event. And we will see you back online at 12:55 Eastern Time sharp. And we will kick it off with our SheBoot pitch competition. Woo! All right, so see you at 12:55, and go and enjoy your lunch for the ones here and for the ones at home.